test tube
Yes,
babies in the previous class, right?
yes, sir. Uh, Basically, it is also called in vitro fertilization, and there are 6 steps in which first they'll be collecting uh, um, they'll be collecting the ovary, I mean the ovum from the ovary of the female, and then that's basically the egg retrieval, and then they collect the sperm, and
Hmm.
then they fertilize both the ovum and the sperm together, and then after some time the embryo develops, and then the embryo is transferred into the female.
Very good. So it would be put back into the body of the female. Very good. And the
Yes,
baby
sir.
that is born in this manner, that is called as test tube baby, right? Now,
Yes, sir.
very good. Okay. Just 1 minute. Hope my screen is visible to everyone properly.
Yes.
So we did learn about that. Let us quickly recap from here. Alif, read the given paragraph.
Development of embryo. The zygote formed after the fertilization process divides itself in a repeated manner and forms a ball of cells. These cells then form different groups, and each group then starts developing into different tissues and organs. This structure is called an embryo. The embryo embeds itself into the uterus or wall and continues to develop and grow. Soon, the body parts such as hands, legs, feet, eyes, and ears start developing. The embryo, whose parts can be identified individually, is called as the fetus. The fetus then completely develops and takes birth as a baby.
Good. So we did learn about the development of the embryo once the fertilization of the ovum takes place in the fallopian tube. So thereby, immediately after fertilization, zygote is formed. Then the zygote will start to, the cells of the zygote will repeatedly start to multiply, and it will multiply till it forms a ball of cells, like the one that you can see in figure B. That is ball of cells. Okay, now also that is called as blastocyst. If you guys can recall the second image over here, this one, we did learned about this also, right? This is a ball of cell called as blastocyst, right, Chakrika and Aleph? Okay.
Yes.
Furthermore, we did learn that this blastocyst, the cells inside this will form different groups, right now. So cells will form different groups, and each group will start to develop into different tissues, right now. And then those tissues later on will develop into different organs, right now. Getting it? So then that structure was being now called as embryo, right? When this blastocyst would grow further, when the cells in this will grow further, form different groups of cells, and then those cells will form different tissues. So at that time, it would be called as embryo. That will be called as embryo, right now. Furthermore, this embryo will now be embedding itself into the wall of the uterus or uterine wall also, right now. So this is the uterus wall. This wall that you see over here, this is this wall, right now. So as you can look at this image over here, the embryo is now getting embedded, attaching to the wall of the uterus. From there, now it will be receiving all the nourishment. And when parts of the embryo, like hands, legs, feet, or eyes, when it starts to develop and when it is identifiable, when you can identify it, then it will be called as fetus. Got this now? So there are 3 main stages. First stage is that of zygote, that is immediately after fertilization. Then you have embryo. Then we have fetus. Getting it now? And how these are different from each other, hope you guys are able to understand that also, right? Zygote is, let us talk about difference between zygote and the embryo. So how are they different from each other, the zygote and embryo? Yes.
So the zygote is basically basically it's the structure of both the nucleuses of the ovum and the sperm.
Hmm. And it is a single cell,
Oh yes, sir.
right? Okay. What about embryo?
So it has multiple cells,
Hmm.
and then it is it has an unidentifiable shape.
Basically,
And it is the
uh,
unborn baby in the early
hmm,
stage of development.
good. And here the body tissues are well developed right now. Tissues are well developed in this. Getting it?
So in the embryo,
In the embryo,
okay,
in the embryo, the tissues have well developed. Right now, this is that stage of the development of the baby where tissues have developed. Although organs have not developed that much, it is not identifiable, but tissues have started to develop. Yes, Gauri and Khadija, how are you guys doing?
Fine. How about
Sir, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm also good. Okay. So the differences we were learning about the zygote and embryo, like zygote consists of just one cell, while embryo is made up of more than one cell. Zygote is formed as the fertilization process will happen. Okay, na? And embryo is formed after the fertilization process, right? Getting it? Now, just when fertilization has happened, at that time zygote is formed, and this zygote will further continue to grow and then form embryo. And in embryo, the tissues of the body would be well defined in an embryo right now. While in the case of zygote, we don't have any well defined tissues or organs, right? So this is something which we learned, and then we learned about embryo or fetus also. So in the fetus, the body parts like legs, like the limbs, eyes, heart, all of them are have well developed and are identifiable. Getting this now? So this thing we did learn, and then we did learn about in vitro fertilization also, right now. So there we learned that like there are some women who are not able to conceive naturally. So test tube baby treatment or IVF, that is in vitro fertilization, that is also done for those couples who do not conceive naturally. Getting this now? So how it is done, this we learn that right now. So a child would be kind of, it is being conceived outside the woman's body by a scientific method known as in vitro fertilization, in short also called as IVF fertilization. Got this now? So we did learn about that. Then we were learning about types of fertilization. There we learned that fertilization, whether the egg would be fertilized inside the body or outside the body. On the basis of that, we have two types of fertilization, namely internal and external fertilization, right? So we were learning about external fertilization that would be observed in the cases of fishes, in the cases of frogs, toads, etc. How that happens, we did learn about that. Today we are going to be learning about internal fertilization in some of the animals, particularly in hens, right? So we know that hens would be reproducing by laying the eggs, right? Now they would be reproducing by laying the eggs, right? So before they would be laying eggs, fertilization would also be taking place in some cases. In some cases, even without fertilization, hens would be laying eggs. Getting what I'm trying to say?
yes, sir.
Hmm? Right now, so hens can lay eggs even if the eggs are not fertilized, they can lay the eggs. Getting this now? Okay. So if the egg would be fertilized, so thereby a chick will come out of that after 21 days. And if that egg is not fertilized, so this chick will not come out of it after 28 days. Getting it now? So a hen can lay both a fertilized egg or both a unfertilized egg as well. Okay. So let us understand what would be happening in the case of fertilization, particularly internal fertilization happening in the hens. So after the fertilization would have occurred, the hen egg cells, the egg cells of the hen, it would be fertilized with the sperm cells of the male hen, right? And then here also it would lead to formation of zygote. right? And zygote will keep on dividing itself. That zygote will keep on dividing itself until it travels to the oviduct of the female hen. So here what happens? Ovary is found in the case of hens also, just like it is found in the female body. So ovary is the main reproductive organ found in the body of a hen also. So that would also be releasing the egg cells. Getting it, everyone now, right? And as the male sex cells would fuse with it, thereby it will lead to formation of zygote, right? Also, one more thing, oviduct or fallopian tube is found in their body also, right? Getting it, guys? So from ovary, the egg cells would be released into the oviduct. As you can see over here, this image over this structure over here is the oviduct. Getting it now? And this cloaca that you see over here, this is the same passage where they would be getting rid of the waste material also. So the male hen would be releasing their male sex cells via the cloaca into their body, and in the oviduct, the fertilization of egg cells would be happening. Is that much clear to everyone so far or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm repeating this once more.
Sir, I
See,
didn't understand.
yeah. See what happens here. Just like in the case of humans, what happens? Ovary would be releasing egg cells, right? In the case of hen also, ovary would be releasing the egg cells, right? Okay. And we did learn that via the vagina, the sperm cells would be entering into the female reproductive body. So here also via this opening, that is cloaca, the male sex cells of the male hen would be entering into the body of the hen. So all the egg cells are released into the oviduct, and that would also be coming here into the oviduct. The male sex cells would also come into the oviduct. So here, say that this is the hen sex cells, egg cells, and this is the sperm cells. So here fertilization would be happening over here. Getting it, everyone now? Here fertilization would happen, and then zygote will be formed. Right after fertilization, zygote would be formed. Got this now? Zygote would be formed here. Now, as this furthermore, this zygote will develop right now. The once the zygote would have formed, it will keep on dividing itself. It will keep on dividing itself, and in the process of dividing itself, different layers would be formed over the egg. Different layers would be formed over the eggs, and then it will turn into a hard shell or covering of the egg. Basically, become the covering of the egg. So as you see the hen's egg, it is having a hard shell above it, isn't it? That is a protective layer. Getting it, guys? So this is how the fertilization takes place inside the body of the hen, right? Hens would be producing by laying the eggs. Once fertilization would have taken place inside the body, then zygote will be forming. Then that zygote will further keep on dividing to develop hard shell above it, to develop a covering of hard shell above it. Getting it now? Namely, this is made up of calcium carbonate. The hard shell of the hen is made up of calcium carbonate. Keep that in mind. Got this now?
Yes, sir.
Right? And when this hard shell would have completely developed around the egg, it would have completely developed around the egg, then the female would be laying the eggs. Female would lay the eggs. Right now? Okay. Now look at the first image over here. Hen's egg when it is laid. This is the egg right after a hen has laid it. Okay. So here you can see that inside this, the yellow structure that you see over here, that is also called as yolk. This is basically the embryo of the chicken. That is the chick embryo. Getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
That is,
So, Madam,
yes.
so where does the hen carry the eggs?
Where do the,
I mean, like, does the hen carry the eggs in her oviduct?
does the hen carry their egg in oviduct?
Yes, sir.
That's the question. Okay. Where they would be kind of storing it now.
Yes, so like I mean, basically in humans they'll be in the uterus, but then what about in the hen? Like where do they carry it?
Okay, okay. See, like in the case of humans, as we have learned that the zygote would embed into the wall of the uterus, right? And in the case of the hen, what happens once the ovum would have matured, once it would be released, and once its fertilization would have taken place, so then we'd find that there would be certain glands found in their reproductive organ in their body that will develop the hard covering above the egg, that will develop the hard covering above the egg, right? So eggs should be stored in their reproductive organ. It will not be stored in the ovary, but I think it would be stored in the oviduct. I think it would be stored in their oviduct, I believe. I'm not very sure about that where the eggs are stored in their body right now, but I think that it would be stored in the oviduct, I think, right now. And from in the oviduct, it would be receiving secretions from glands found in their body, and the secretions coming from the glands would develop a covering on the covering, develop a hard shell around the egg right now. So I think that is how it happens in this, that is how
Sir,
it happens in their body. Yes.
are the eggs we eat fertilized or unfertilized?
uh we eat, you can't usually determine it, like uh, we eat both fertilized and unfertilized eggs. Okay, no,
Okay, sir.
we eat both fertilized and unfertilized eggs, but normally the white egg, like coming from the poultry farms, that is usually unfertilized, because there are two kind of hens now, right? There are two kind of hens, one is broiler, another one is layers, right? So layers are those kind of hens that are particularly um being what do you say, domesticated for egg production only, while broilers, they would be bred and raised for meat production. Yes. There's one more thing,
Uh,
just I will be coming to your answer, just 1 minute, just 1 minute. See what happens now. If the, if what happens, if this female hen were to mate, were to reproduce, were to mate with the male hen, then in that case what will happen, after 21 days what would happen, no, basically after 21 days it is usually observed that this hen would sit on the eggs in order to develop it, in order to nourish it, in order to take care of it, getting it. So in the case of poultry farms, what happens now, the particularly the layers are being breeded, layers are being domesticated in the poultry farms, they are basically being raised for commercial egg production. So thereby, like once they would have laid the eggs, so the eggs would be immediately taken away from them, because if it were to be left there, then it's the instinct of the hen that it would sit on the egg in order to take care of it, getting it. Yes. Alif, you were saying something.
sir, which egg is good, like healthy, or
Okay.
like brown or
Okay, brown or the white one. Okay. Usually the,
yes, yes.
usually those kind of hens which are feeded organic foods, which are not feeded chemical foods, will be better. The eggs, usually many people will be domesticating the hens and would be feeding them, would be giving them healthy feed, like green vegetables, pulses and all that. So that would be much better. Usually brown eggs are considered better than the white eggs, because the white eggs are basically being are coming from the commercial egg production poultries, and they are being provided with chemically made chemical feeds, so that is really not good for the health. Okay, no. So so hope that answers the questions, right? So in the case of the fertilization in the hen, we learned that the zygote would be dividing repeatedly, and it will travel down into the oviduct, where I think it would be stored for some time as well, unless until the hens would be releasing the eggs. So once a hard protective covering would have developed around the egg, then that egg would be released by the egg or released by the hen. Getting it now? Also here in this image you can see over here, this is the egg right after it was laid by a hen, and inside this we have this chick embryo, and then this is the albumin which will be providing nourishment to the embryo. Right now the main function of the albumin would be to provide nourishment to the embryo of the chick. Right now here you can see the embryo is not developing, and finally after 21 or 21 days the chick would have fully formed and it will come out of the hard shell. So hope that was clear to everyone. Okay. Then, based on the way how organisms give birth to their offsprings, they are categorized into two types, namely viviparous and oviparous animals, right? So, we humans, the cattle, dogs, cats, etc., all those organisms would be giving live birth to the young ones, right now? Live birth to the young ones. They are called as viviparous. While organisms like certain kind of reptiles, like snakes, lizards, fishes, different kind of amphibians, right now, so they would be laying the
Sir,
eggs. So called as oviparous.
fish,
Yes,
fish is viviparous, right?
fishes are no, why not? They are not.
Viviparous.
No, fishes are not viviparous. Okay, fishes are oviparous. Okay, now
Okay.
majority of the fishes are oviparous. Getting it? I would be saying majority of the fishes are oviparous. There are some exceptions also. Getting it? No, there are some exceptions, but majority of the fishes are oviparous. Keep that in mind. They would be egg laying. Furthermore, we would be learning about the process of metamorphosis. Okay, now what is metamorphosis? So you guys would have learned about this metamorphosis in the previous class. Anyone knows about metamorphosis?
No, sir.
See, basically, in the case of metamorphosis, what do you see in this? Look at the different stages of the growth of this frog. Does it look same at all these different stages, or does it look different?
Different.
It looks different. Or look at this butterfly. Look at this moth, silk moth. Particularly, this is a silk moth. So does it look same through its life cycle, or does it look different?
Different.
It looks different now. So
Yes, sir.
metamorphosis, it's a change of the physical form of a organism. It's of its change in its structure. Getting it now? While it would be growing, so it would go under some changes. So it's kind of a biological process through which certain animals would be developing, right? So their development will go through certain transformations. Like first of all, as you can see in this image, for example, consider the example of the um, silk moth, for example, here. So here what we get to see that first of all, the female would be laying the eggs on the leaves, right? This eggs would further grow into the larva. Furthermore, the larva would start to furthermore convert. It will further convert into caterpillar. Getting it? Then this caterpillar will convert into the adult moth. Adult moth. So what we see here is that this caterpillar, this silk moth, is going through transformation in its life cycle. Also, its body parts are different at different stages of its growth. Like we can consider the larva as its childhood, for example. Let's say that this is the childhood of the silk moth, for example, when it's a child. Then this one is its later stages of the growth, and this one is the adult stage of the silk moth. So here we see that their body parts and the whole organism is different at different stages, isn't it? Yes. Right now. So here we get to see that it's a biological process by which an animal would be physically developing. It would be kind of developing, thereby it would be go through some transformations right now. So that is the thing. But is a metamorphosis observed in the case of humans? Do we get to see the same thing in the case of
Yes,
humans?
Yes,
Human
sir.
beings,
No, sir.
no, actually, no.
Sir,
Human beings do not undergo metamorphosis because their body parts remains the same from the childhood to adulthood. Like when you are a child, when you were a child, so your hands look the same at that time. Right now, your hands looks the same. Your all
Sir.
the body features looks the same basically. Yes,
Won't the size of the organs grow more?
the size of the organism is going to grow, but here we are talking about the uh, whether the body parts remains same in appearance, meaning that same in structure, or does it change? Like the structure basically remains same, although the size and the thickness would change right now, but the basic structure of the body parts remains same in the case of human beings now. Getting it, Chakrika and others?
yes, sir.
But in the case of a frog, for example, uh, look over here. This is a egg. Once it would be fertilized by these sperms, as you can see over here, these are the sperms. As this egg would be fertilized, zygote would be formed. Furthermore, it forms a tadpole. And now this, look at this frog at this stage of its life cycle has got a tail right now. Furthermore, its hind legs will also start to develop. Slowly, this tail will start to disappear. Getting it? Then further, this is how it looks at its adult stage. Hmm? So here we get to see that an organism is going through certain transformation. So metamorphosis, we say that it's a biological process through which an organism transforms from one form to another. What did I say? That it is a biological change. Biological change. Organisms transforms from one form to another, one form to another, right? So it would involve a series of structural changes, right? And those structural changes would help this organism to adapt to its environment. Like for example, consider the same example. Like you see that this larva would further convert into a cocoon. Hmm? You would have seen a cocoon, how a cocoon looks like. Uh, if we were to talk about silk cocoon, from this we obtain silk fiber now. So what this larva does now, larva will start to secrete a gummy substance from its mouth, and it will wrap itself in that fiber. That fiber is called as silk. So this larva secretes the silk fiber and wraps itself around that silk fiber in order to protect it against the harsh environment. So here it has made some changes in order to adapt to the environment. But do we see such things in the case of humans or dogs or cats, etc.? Yes. Yes, Khadija, Alif, Gauri, Chakrika.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you repeat?
I was saying that certain kind of organisms like the silk moth, it would involve it will make do some changes, right? Now it would kind of adapt, but do some changes in order to adapt to the environment right now. So here we can see that this larva converts into cocoon in order to adapt to its environment, in order to protect itself from the harsh environment. Getting it, guys? Larva
Yes.
forms cocoon. Getting it now? So basically it helps it to stay alive, right? Otherwise it might be eaten by some other organisms. So in order to stay alive, it will form a cocoon, and this cocoon, you would have seen that this cocoon would be attached to some twigs like this. You would have seen this. Yes, this cocoon would attach itself to a small twig. Twig is a small, it's a small piece of a branch, a small woody branch. So it will attach itself to this, and then after, once it would have reached the adulthood, then this cocoon would open up and the silk moth will come out of it. Got this now? So basic thing which we have learned over here, that it's a biological change where we get to see that an organism is transforming from one form to another form, like you can see in this image. And it involves a series of some physical changes, some structural changes that enables it to adapt to the new environment, to the environment. This process can be seen in the case of many insects, in the cases of some amphibians like this frog, and in some fishes also. Yes.
So basically, you said that when the adult female silk moth lays eggs, they change and they basically again grow into an adult moth, right? So basically, when the adult moth lays eggs, is it the same process how where even humans interact, like I mean, like where they reproduce?
Okay, we're talking about fertilization now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Is it
the
the
thing
same
is,
way?
yeah, same thing would be happening in them also, right now. Like this silk moth would also reproduce via fertilization. Getting it? So they would also fertilization would take place in them also, right now. Then
Yes,
only
sir.
an egg would be able to develop into a new silk moth. Now, if the egg is not fertilized, then how come a new silk moth developed from it, right?
So is there any animal that can go through that process without the fertilization process?
Is there any organism that can grow without fertilization?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we do have certain examples of that organisms, but that would be of really low order organism, like you'd be studying there. In the case of their egg would not be involved right now. They would be asexually reproducing, like in the case of amoeba, in the case of hydra, in the case of planaria, etc. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Getting it? So that kind of thing would be happening there, right? Furthermore, we are going to be learning about parthenogenesis also. So there we'll be learning about that concept in detail. Okay, now where you'd be getting to learn that an embryo would be developing, like a embryo would be developing without the fertilization, right? Now, meaning that an egg would develop into an embryo without fertilization. So that thing we'd be learning later on. Okay, Chakrika. Okay. Khadija, read the given paragraph. Khadija, read the given paragraph. Okay, other Shakrika, you read the given paragraph. Oh, okay, Khadija, no worries. Yeah, Shakrika, you read the given paragraph.
Yes, sir. Turning into adults from young ones. As individuals are born, they continue to grow until they turn into adults. The young ones may or may not look like the same when they become adults. For instance, in the case of frogs and silkworms, the adults and young ones are completely different.
Good. So here, in the case of the frog, we can see this right now, or in the case of this silk moth, also we did observe that it would go through different stages of growth. Namely, there are 4 stages. The first one is the egg. That is the first stage of its development. The second one is larva. The third one is cocoon, and the fourth one is the adult moth. And here it goes through certain physical changes, biological changes takes place in their body. So it's a biological process by which an animal physically develops after birth or after hatching takes place in them, and it would go through transformations. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the asexual reproduction in animals, right? So this type of reproduction requires only one parent, right? And it would be taking place in most of the microscopic organisms like amoeba, like small animals like hydra, like paramecium, etc. So first of all, we are going to learn about asexual reproduction in animals by budding. We will be first of all learning by budding. So if you guys recall, we did learned about a microorganism called as yeast, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. There we did learn that this microorganism also reproduces via budding. So say that this is a cell of a yeast, right? A small bird would appear on its body like this. Later on, this bird will start to grow. Furthermore, it would grow further like this, right? So from one cell, now it from one cell it has now converted into two cells, right now. But this would also further what will happen? One more bird would appear from its body, and furthermore it can grow like this. So we have learned about some organisms, some microscopic organisms like this yeast, that also does reproduction via budding, right? Furthermore, this hydra would also be developing in the similar manner. What happens? Like look at this hydra. Okay, now by the way, hydra is a small aquatic animal. It's a small aquatic animal. Keep that in mind. Okay. So what happens? First of all, in the first image, you can see a small outgrowth has uh, a small outgrowth can be observed on the body of the hydra. This tiny outgrowth that you see, that we call as bud. That is called as bud. Okay, now. So a tiny bump has appeared on its body, right? Furthermore, this tiny bird will start to grow right now. And in the second image, you can see that it has started to grow further. It will continue to grow and it will finally break off from the parent body. It has finally broken off from the parent body, as you can see in this image, and now it will develop independently. It will grow into a new hydra, right now. So these birds would be developing into a hydra first of all, and these bird would continue to grow and finally detach from the parent hydra and will grow into a new hydra. Also, one hydra can have multiple number of birds in their body. Like in the for the sake of convenience and understanding the concept here, only one bird has been shown. But there could be multiple birds developing on the body of the hydra. All you guys getting it now?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. By the way, these structures that you see on the top of the body of the hydra, these are called as tentacles of the hydra. Okay, now these are called as tentacles of the hydra, and these tentacles are kind of extensions coming out of their body, and they are present at their mouth. This is the mouth of the hydra. Getting it, guys? This over here, that is the mouth of the hydra. So these structures that we see, these are called as tentacles, and tentacles would be helping it to grasp the food. It would be helping it to grasp the food, right? And it could range from 1 to around 12 in number. Okay, now it can range from 1 to 12, right? So with the help of these tentacles, sometimes they would be able to grasp the food, and it helps them in ingestion of the food. Getting it, guys? So hope you guys have understood this. Okay, another question is that, will hydra be microscopic? Hmm? Can we see it? Actually, the thing is that
No, sir.
usually like actually you can see it. Hydras are kind of, they are large enough to be seen by the bare eyes. Okay, now they have a smaller size. Many times it might go unnoticed, but if we pay close attention, we can view it. It has a size of around half to 10 millimeters. Okay, now
Sir,
so it lies in this range and it can be seen with the bare eyes. Yes.
sir, can you show the image of hydra?
An actual hydra. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. Also, we might need a magnifying glass to see an actual image of a hydra. Okay, like if you actually have a pond water, or by the way, this is found to be living in the water only. Okay, no? So there, if you have a magnifying glass, that would help you. Okay. Yeah, I was afraid this image is going to come. Microscopic hydra. Yeah, this one over here. See this structure? Look at this one over here. This is an
Yes, sir.
hydra. Getting it? No? So this is how an actual hydra looks like. Okay. So this would be they would be reproducing via they would be asexually reproducing and by the process of budding. So hope that is clear. What is the function of tentacles in hydra? These tentacles, what is its
Help them
function?
to grasp the food.
Help them to grasp their food, right now. So that is one of the main function right now. Okay, also it would be kind of protecting them also from other predators right now. So that is one thing about it. Next we are going to learn about asexual reproduction in amoeba. So as you can see in this image over here, that this parent amoeba here, it has divided into two daughter cells. First of all, what will happen? Look at the
Sir, is
first
this
image.
binary?
Yeah, that is binary fusion. Very good. So what happens in the case of amoeba? First of all, the nucleus will start to elongate. The nucleus will first of all start to elongate, meaning that it will first of all start to develop, meaning that I mean to say it will start to divide, right? So here nucleus has started to elongate, meaning that it is dividing. In the second image, you can see that nucleus has completely divided and there are now two nucleus inside the body of this amoeba. Okay. At the same time, we are seeing that just when the nucleus is dividing, the cytoplasm of the cell is also dividing. Okay, the cytoplasm is also dividing. So the division of cytoplasm and nucleus is taking place at the same time. So here in the third image, you can see that nucleus has completely divided into two parts and the cytoplasm is still dividing. And finally, after some time, the cytoplasm has also divided and the cells have divided into two parts. So there are now two new amoeba cells that will be called as daughter cells also, right? So as you know that amoeba consists of just one cell, right? It's a unicellular organism, right? Binary means two and fission means splitting. Okay, binary means two and fission means splitting. So amoeba, that is a unicellular organism. It would be reproducing by simply splitting into two equal halves. So as it reproduces, what happens? The nucleus of the amoeba divides itself and forms two nucleus. So here at this time we'll be calling it as nuclei, because nuclei is the plural of nucleus, right? So it would divide into two nucleus. Then furthermore, the cytoplasm would also be dividing. So in this way, two amoeba cells or two daughter cells are obtained from the single parent cell. So that is called as fission, or more specifically binary fission in the case of amoeba. So hope you guys have understood about binary fission in amoeba.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear?
So,
Yeah.
sir, amoeba, while it reproduces or while it splits, it actually contains, it is basically multicellular, right? Because it has two nucleuses.
No. This whole organism is made up of just one cell. As a whole organism, it is one cell initially. But while it is still dividing, right now, we at that time we can't categorize that because it is still attached. No, the two nucleus are still found in the same body. It has not completely detached right now.
Yes,
It
sir,
is in
so
the
that's still multicellular, right? Like while reproducing.
no, while reproducing, it wouldn't be appropriate to say that while reproducing it is multicellular. Okay, no, it wouldn't be appropriate to say that, because we see that multicellular, like what is a multicellular organism? Multicellular organisms are that when the number of cells are two or more than two, right? When the number of cells are two or more than two, this over here is a whole organism just made up of one cell, and inside this organism the nucleus is separating, and here also it has separated, but the cytoplasm is still common for both of them. Like technically, logically speaking, that cytoplasm has not divided yet now, right? Because two cells would be having separate cytoplasms of their own. Like you have cell 1, you have cell 2. Let's say that this is a multicellular organism, for example, which is made up of two cells. So these two cells, cell number 1 and cell number 2, both of them have their separate nucleus, but they have their separate cytoplasm also. Yes, you guys getting it what I'm trying to say? They have their own cytoplasm, right now. But here the cytoplasm is still common. It has not separated yet now. So it wouldn't be practical and it wouldn't be appropriate to say that it's a multicellular organism at that stage. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is the thing. Hope you guys have understood this concept, right? Also, one another important thing is that here, after it is kind of replication is happening here now. Replication would be happening here because the genetic material found in the body of this one and this one would be basically same, right? Here, this in the case of this amoeba, the daughter cells that would be produced, they would be genetically identical. So they are also called as twin daughter cells. Twin daughter cells. Is that clear so far? They will be also called as they are also called as twin daughter cells because their genetic material would be same. Right now, their genetic material would be same. Okay. Now the type of cell division which has taken place here. This type of cell division is called as mitotic division. Okay, na? Or mitosis. Look at this image over here. So in the case of this amoeba, what has happened? A single cell is split into two halves, right? So there, what you see over here, the genetic material remains same. So there are some organ like cell division usually happens in two ways. One that is called as mitosis, another one that is called as meiosis. In the case of mitosis, what happens? One single parent divides into two daughter cells. What did I say that? In the case of mitotic division, what happens? There, one single parent would divide into two daughter cells. You guys getting it? And the two daughter cells would be identical to each other. They would be identical to each other. So the example of this amoeba that you see over here, so it is doing a mitosis division. That is doing a mitosis division. So you guys keep the following points which I'm going to write over here. So the first point which we have learned here, that unicellular amoeba reproduces by binary fission. It does it in the following steps. In stage 1, what happens? Nucleus elongates, as we learned. In stage number 2, what happens? Cytoplasm starts separating. In the third stage, cell has splitted into two daughter cells. Important thing which we have learned over here, that the two daughter cells have the same genetic material, so they are identical in nature. So daughter cells are identical. And the kind of cell division that is happening over here, that is called as mitosis. That is called as mitosis. You guys getting it? We're going to learn about that in detail. No, don't worry about that. So amoeba cells reproduces by mitosis. So let us learn about this first of all. See, what I was saying, that in the case of a mitosis what happens? Mitosis is one of the process of cell division in which the parent cell basically would be splitting into two halves. Like in the first image, what do you guys observe in the first image? By the way, these structures that you see, these are the chromosomes. The structure that you see over here, kind of thread-like structure, these are called as um, chromosomes. Okay, now, so chromosomes are found in their nucleus, isn't it? Chromosomes are found in the nucleus of any cell. Yes, Aleph, Chakrika, Gauri, and Khadija.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, and the splitting of nucleus is taking place, right? Getting it now. So in remember the third diagram over here, you can relate it with this one over here. Here, what is happening over here, as the nucleus would be splitting, so thereby the chromosomes would also be splitting into two halves now. Chromosome is also splitting, right? So as the nucleus is splitting, chromosome will also be splitting into two halves, right? And both of them would be receiving the equal number of chromosomes. That is one of the characteristics of the mitosis.
So can you explain it again?
Yeah, it is not completed right now. See, so it's mitosis, it's kind of a cell duplication. Same type of cell is being produced. Hmm? Like this cell and this cell, both of them are same to each other. In all in all aspects, they are genetically same to each other because they are genetically identical, right now. So here what happens, the nucleus would be dividing into two halves. Furthermore, we know that nucleus contains chromosomes in them. So as this nucleus has split into two halves, so they would be receiving equal number of chromosomes. Both of them would be receiving equal number of chromosomes also, right? Getting it? Also, one important thing is that this mitosis would be usually observed in the organisms of lower divisions, right now. So that is the thing about it. You guys tell me where exactly you guys are getting doubtful in this topic.
Sir, I didn't understand this whole topic. This one.
Okay. See, the first thing is that the division of cells, any kind of cells, would happen via two methods. One is called as mitosis, another one is called as meiosis. In mitosis, what happens? The genetically identical cells would be produced from the parent cell. Like you have this parent cell, this is the parent cell. So this parent cell will go under mitosis, in which the nucleus would be splitting into two equal halves. Just like as you saw this example of a mitosis division where the nucleus was splitting into two halves. Furthermore, cell has also separated and it gave birth to two daughter cells which are identical to each other because this cell also has have got the same genetic material from the parent, just like this one has got. So both of them have received the same chromosomes from their parents, hence they would be genetically identical to each other. They would be genetically identical to each other. Getting it? So that is called as mitosis, right? So in this process, the cells would be dividing and it would be creating exact copies of themselves. Just it is happening inside our body also. Like for example, the cells of our muscles, cells of our skin, cells of our bones, all most of the cells in our body are also doing mitosis. Because for example, when you look at the cells of your skin, when you study them under the microscope, all the cells of your skin are identical to each other. You guys tell me, like, think about it logically. If one group of cells in the hand were to be different from other groups of cells, it would be problematic. Getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Sir, our human cell is like this, like binary fission.
Our which cell?
A human cell, like blood cell.
Yeah. Most of all the cells except for all the cells in the body except for the sex cells does mitosis division. All the cells in our body except for the sex cells would be doing this. Getting it now? So whatever cells are in our body, whether it be the cell of the muscles, whether it be cells of the all organs except for the sex cells, they would be going through mitosis right now. So all the cells that are not that are not involved in the production of sex cells, apart from that, all the cells that would not be involved in the production of sex cells would be doing mitosis division. Okay, this will be clear in a minute. Let us understand this further. I had one animation of it. I wish I could have shown you guys. Just give me 1 minute. I think I have one animation that would help you understand it further. So you guys tell me the cells of the muscles, it will be doing what kind of division?
Mitosis.
Mitosis. What are the properties of mitosis which we have learned?
They will be like identical to each other.
They are identical to each other. Very good. And they have the same type of chromosomes. Yeah, like this one over here. Yeah, that would. This is what I was looking for. Look at this one. This is a actual mitosis happening. This is an actual mitosis taking place inside the body of a human. What do you observe here? Look at the cell. It is splitting into two halves. Yes. So the cell has splitted into two equal halves, and both of them would be genetically identical to each other. Getting it? So that is the mitosis over here. Furthermore, look at this another animation over here, where we will get to see that the one cell would be splitting into four equal halves, right? It would be into four parts. That also we'd be learning in the next class. So this mitosis, the following things we have learned about mitosis. The first thing that in this, the parent cell would be splitting into two daughter cells that would be exact copies of the parent. They would be genetically identical to each other. So this happens in the case of microorganisms like the amoeba, and it also happens in the case of our muscle cells, our bone cells, our hair cells, etc.
Can I just come back in a second?
By the way, the class is almost about to be ended.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no? So from here, we'll be continuing in the next class. Also, just 1 minute, guys. You guys just hold on for 1 more minute. See. In this image, that would be much clear.